The Stour, in much the same way as the view of Stourbridge from Pepper Hill is reminiscent of an Italian hilltop town. The Stour is like the Ganges, the Danube, the Seine, all rolled into one, isn't it? I was thinking earlier about the time before YouTube, before Wikipedia, and that when you were holding court, rambling on, circuitously, Ronnie Corbett style, people just had to take your word for it, didn't they? They had no way of checking the veracity of what you were saying, and neither did you. And sometimes you'd begin to doubt yourself. And that was the case with me and Murren Butch Stansinger. Murren Butch Stansinger was an obscure Channel 4 cartoon, about 1982, 84, something like that. I remember the early Channel 4 logo, the multicoloured 4 splitting apart on a black background, and then the jaunty piano theme tune, panning across rooftops. Murren Butch Stansinger, I kid you not, was a small grey piece of dirt with a Beatles hairdo and clogs who lived in a crevice underneath the kitchen units in a suburban house. Sometimes it was that big, because he lived in a crevice underneath the kitchen unit in a suburban house, and then other times he was the same size as everyone else. There was one episode where he had to hide from his boring old cousin Rossiter, where he stands in the street in a doorway hiding, looking at a sign that says fish, and he's the same size as all the passers-by. It used to worry the bejesus out of me. Also worrying was the fact that he had a little girlfriend who was a proper human girl in a red dress and a Lady Di hairdo, and she used to come round and visit him. And she, in turn, had a boyfriend called Nigel Clark, a sort of proto-yuppie balding with an open-neck shirt, slacks and a medallion, who drove a sports car, and Murren despised him. Anyway, the point is this. There was one particular episode of Murren Butch Stansinger which I did not imagine, dream, embellish. And it begins with Murren lying on his pillow, which is a sausage, underneath the crevice in the kitchen unit, and he's playing the Beatles Yesterday on a full-size turntable, and the guy who narrates has a mournful voice like this, intoning the narrative, and he is supposed to buy some tickets for his girlfriend so they can go to Paris, and he keeps putting it off. He prevaricates and prevaricates, and he puts it off to the point where it's too late to buy the tickets. She comes round furious, and that's that. And he lies on his pillow at the end, and it says something like, Murren thought sadly that if you put a thing off for long enough, you no longer have to do it at all. And I think that's so true. The wisdom of Murren Butch Stansinger. There comes a point past which, if you leave it too long, it is too late. It's like having a bag of photographs in the garage, and you don't want to look at them for some reason, some particular memory is too painful, but you leave it too long, and when you finally do open the bag, they've turned to dust, and it's too late to see them. I think there are so many parallels in our existence. George Orwell, going back to Lower Binfield, in Coming Up for Air, the novel that was specifically written so that it could later be used as a literary pun for the Cummings Your Way show at the Wolverhampton Lit Fest in 2018. I thought all these things as I was on the train the other day, reading Martin Davis's autobiography. And then I realised he'd done it a little better than me. He says, I was also conscious of the fact that there may come a point in the future where it would feel like the experiences had never happened, lost forever in the dark recesses of my mind. Do you think I have a tendency to overcomplicate things? And there they are, the inexplicably grandiloquent gates that form the entrance to Mary Stevens Park, Old Swinford, Stourbridge. Equally inexplicably modelled on those at Buckingham Palace. The resemblance between the areas ceases abruptly at that point. Over there a little way used to be the Star and Garter pub, where I bought my first half of bitter for 28p. It was run by a woman that we called Evil Aileen. She had a beehive hairdo, tinted blue of course, horn-rimmed glasses, Looked like something out of a Gary Larson cartoon. To my left used to be the dog toilet. Probably still is the dog toilet. But more importantly, there's the tree where I saw Mrs. Nangle snogging Mr. Tromans when I was in Mr. Tromans' class in primary school. Scarred me for life, it did. Memories drifting through the pages of my mind.
Oh, not the Carpenters, please.
What's wrong with the Carpenters?
Oh, they're the most depressing band in recorded musical history, if you ask me.
Oh, they're not. Come on, elaborate. I want to know why exactly.
They're the unacceptable sound of nostalgia, looking back, all interlaced with sort of the pain of Karen Carpenter. If you ask me, they're far more depressing than the bands that people usually say are miserable, like Radiohead and the Smiths and Joy Division and The Cure. Considerably more depressing. It's the sound of a horrible montage at the end of the 2 weeks of the World Snooker Championship. Dennis Taylor bends down in 1985 with his new glasses on, eyeing up that black. Carpenters have played over the top, and it's just too painful.
I've only got one thing to say at this point.
Yeah.
We've been observing your Earth, and we'd like to make a contact with you. We are your friends.
Proves my point, really.
Farlands Road, where I spent my formative years, roughly between 1970 and 1997, give or take. I remember it being explained to me at primary school that it was the Far Lands, and that Old Swinford was where the old swine had crossed the ford. I also remember that my dad used to get letters addressed not to Old Swinford, but to Old Swim Ponds, 23A, Farlands Road, Old Swim Ponds. He also used to get letters addressed to Mr. C. Nuggs, which would make his first name Cummy Nuggs. Used to be a nice guy called Tony, lived in that house. Used to see me walking past and report to my dad what a prat I looked. Speaking of which, there are so many stories you could tell at this sort of fulcrum of your formative existence that you have to just nail it down to one really and be done with it. So I think I'll use that as my cornerstone and remember the point at which I walked past those railings over there, aged about 16, I think 1984, with a bullfighter's hat, a black bullfighter's hat from the Rag Market in Birmingham. Not to be worn again, I don't think, by any human being other than the bullfighter until the end of the first series of Breaking Bad. And I had my hair crimped at the front in a fringe, crimped at the back sticking out, dyed orange, and in the middle was just like a hat-shaped basin held on with hairspray, so the hat couldn't come off because it looked ridiculous. But as I walked along there, the hat blew off over the railings, and far, far away I watched it arc in the sky, forever out of my reach, and I had to walk on with a strange hat-shaped basin surrounded by a fringe and strange back piece like the back of one of those Foreign Legion helmets. Seems to me powerfully indicative of something that. Not quite sure what. Hanbury Hill, my gateway to town. I used to have a recurring dream where I was walking down along here and the ground sort of gave away beneath me and threw me in a great looping arc into the path of the oncoming traffic, and I'd wake just before I was crushed by a car. To the right of me is the scene of many an unpleasant hour, the rugby pitch at Old Swinford Hospital School. It was founded in something like 1661, and I think between 1661 and 1979 there were 3 sets for maths, and then when I arrived they made a 4th set, a D set, just for me and one other boy called Miles, whose nickname was Radiation Head. And it was very odd because you could see my bedroom window from the rugby pitch, and equally from my bedroom window you could see it. And in my bedroom I would be safely ensconced on my corduroy sofa with my headphones on, listening to Kraftwerk, and it would be 1981. But then back here it would be 1935, sort of Tompkinson's school days, the practice of nailing new boys to the wall again. But at what point does this cease to be a travelogue and become a reminiscent package? It's like the theory of Wittgenstein's new YouTube presenter, which, if you understand Wittgenstein's new knife, will be perfectly explicable to you. And if you don't, you can go and do one.
Or you could just advise people to go and look it up.
Now there's a thought. Feels very wrong being here with you, you know, Harris.
Why is that?
I don't know, it's just you're something from the second half of my life and these are scenes from the first half of my life. It feels as if the two shouldn't overlap somehow. It's a bit like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, that business of being able to pause your memories and walk around inside them. Very strange.
So your parents aren't from Stourbridge, are they?
No, it's odd how I ended up here actually. It reminds me, my mum bought me a book out from the library once when I was a teenager about Stourbridge and the surrounding areas. And there's a line from the first page that sticks in my mind. It said that Stourbridge was known for its suave patrician air. I remember not knowing what patrician meant and having to look it up. But it reminds me of the story my dad told when he came down from Blackpool, because he was working at Blackpool School of Art, for the interview, and he said that the rest of the Black Country as he travelled through it was a little bit depressing, as Queen Victoria also found. But when he got to Stourbridge, he said it had the quality of an Italian hilltop village. Now, you know, you're a well-travelled man, Harris. You've been to Italian hilltop villages, I imagine. Can you see that?
Yeah, definitely touches of San Gimignano there and Bergamo. Especially the bit of Bergamo at the bottom where you catch the bus to the top by the multi-storey car park.
Ah, yes,
Yeah.
the bit in Bergamo by the execrably mouldering concrete multi-storey car park, which says Saxon, S-A-X-S-O-N on the side, where the glue sniffers used to congregate. That bit of Bergamo.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
It's the best bit. I broke a bloke's ribs up there, in that house up there on the rise. Obviously by accident, I hasten to add, but that's not something I can say anywhere else. So I guess I better say it here. I once had a massive argument with my dad about exactly how long this passage was. We did argue about some funny things when you come to think of it. We argued about what colour Jim Rockford's car was in the Rockford Files. We didn't have a colour TV back then, so we had to take bets on that sort of thing. I've also got a vivid memory of walking down this passage with a childhood friend, and a nice smiling old lady asked us what we wanted to do when we grew up. And my friend said he wanted to be a professional killer, and she stopped smiling and walked off. Do you know what, Harris? I'm not sure if I'm going to do it after all. I'm not sure if I am going to cross over the ring road into that maze of streets, that myriad maze of memories. I think I might just walk off up the hill and back to the car, because once I cross, I can never go home anymore. But you can never go home anymore. I love the Shangri-Las, I do.
Did you buy that record in Mark and Moody's in Stourbridge?
No, I didn't. I bought it in the world famous 50p shop in Liverpool. I bought a packet of 3 Eccles cakes at the same time.
It's a bit of an inconvenient ending for a short clip about Stourbridge, really.
It is what it is. The Eccles cakes were nice though, not too much crust, nice and buttery. Right, so what point on your personal timeline are we here then?
Any age between about 8, 9, 10, all the way up to late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
This is the Devil's Elbow Bridge, very enigmatically named.
Isn't it?
So I was a mid to late teenager, come over here with a friend of mine and stand on the top pretending to be deep and meaningful, you know.
Yeah, I remember it well, the wilderness years.
Indeed.
Youth and age.
But as a younger man, lived on the Linthouse estate on that side of the bridge.
Yeah.
Whereas on the other side of the bridge is the Moathouse estate.
Okay.
And on that railing just above the bridge there were several pairs of burnt underpants tied to each of the top of the railings. And the urban legend was that if the rougher, tougher Moathouse boys caught you here, that they took your underpants and burnt them, and you had to go home without them as a warning to stay off their territory. Absolutely terrifying. So you were quite brave to come on here, you know, as an 8, 9, 10-year-old.
Would have done it for me. Beats a public health and safety information advert any day, doesn't it, really?
Indeed.
Yeah. What Jimmy didn't know was that he wouldn't be going home with his pants that afternoon, or what Lee didn't know in actual fact. But yeah. Sorry, do carry on.
Indeed. No, but yeah, pretending to be a poet, you know, in my late teens.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Haven't
failing
stopped.
miserably, but there you are. Yeah.
Yep.
If you carry on down, on the right, you just see the back of my mum and dad's house. I grew up on the shadow of the canal, and we'll head down to the next bridge now, known as the Dump Bridge.
It's all evocative stuff, isn't it?
Indeed.
Growing up in the shadow of the canal.
Indeed.
Come on.
And follow it through to Wednesfield.
Yeah, come on, let's go on and see what other...
So over here to my right is our old scout hut. Scouting by the cut, Wednesfield style. Yeah.
Fourth Wednesfield?
Yeah, fourth Wednesfield. You were Villiers, weren't you?
First Bilston.
Bilston, yeah. Yeah, a bit of kayaking in the cut. Behind us is the Dump Bridge. Used to walk over it on the way to school, but in bad weather there'd be people standing on the top ensuring you didn't get to the top by pelting you with icy snowballs, etc. Should you make your way over, there'd be a game of football going on down here by the ice.
Oh, like a Dutch master.
Like a Dutch master.
Yeah, you know, like Johannes Vermeer or Peter Bruegel the Elder, sort of hunters in the snow, that sort of feel.
Yeah. You don't get that comparison made often round these parts, to be honest.
Hey, you surprised me.
Yeah. Carry on down here, make our way to Wednesfield, into the centre, but I don't think we'll go all the way in like yourself in Stourbridge down.
Yeah.
There's no going back.
Yeah, there comes a point past which you cannot go. Incidentally, it's probably worth noting, or maybe not worth noting, that Martin is reminiscent of one of the Pet Shop Boys, and perhaps he's 17 this afternoon.
On that note, stain of the day.
Indeed.
Baby, if you've got to go away, don't think I can take the pain. Won't you stay another day?
Stay now, stay now.
Yeah, you look like the one with the sort of stripe on his head, that rubbish. Actually, they were all rubbish, weren't you?
Is that the one that run himself over?
No, that was the one with the face like a sexy dog, that kind of face that girls like, you know what I mean? But they were all three quite funny looking, weren't they?
All three of them were indeed, and the fourth one as well.
Oh yeah, there was a fourth.
Was there?
There was a fourth.
Really?
I think the fourth was the guy that wrote the song, actually.
Wow.
Mortimer? Bob Mortimer? No. So here we are in deepest, darkest Moxley. In the foreground you can just see All Saints Church, and just behind me the church hall, where I often used to attend the evening discos, the 80s discos, where I'd be dancing to Quiet Life by Japan. Quiet Life.
That's the one on Welcome to the Monkey House.
Well, Animal Magnet.
Yeah.
All the classics. And just behind the church you can probably make out this building which used to be Mr. Krusty Bakery, which I worked at 25 years ago. Hated the place, It was horrible.
It's in the book.
However, it's in the book. However, I once got promoted from making bread to jamming donuts, which really was a nice promotion. You'd literally have a little jamming machine with 2 spikes. You'd take 2 donuts, push them on the spikes, pump with jam, pump, then drop the donuts in sugar. 2 donuts, pump, sugar, 2 donuts, pump, pump, sugar. Well, my little trick was 2 donuts, pump, 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 sugar. And I was hoping that at some point somebody, unbeknown, would bite into the donut and the jam would just spray all over them. So, yeah, nice little memory from Mr. Krusty over 25 years ago.
Indeed, yeah, the light is reminding me of James Farquharson, the Victorian pastoral painter. He painted a lot of sheep. I don't know if you've...
Bloody hell.
What's up, Lee? You all right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it cold?
Yeah, no, fine.
Yeah, there are a lot of sheep sort of coming home at twilight, that kind of thing. I assume most of you are getting that.
Well, so, do you fancy taking a trip to where I used to uptake my evenings as a ninja?
Definitely.
Who could say no to such an invitation?
Let's go. So here we are, High Street, Moxley. My childhood home is just over there. And I tell a story in my book, The £1 Million Drop, available on Amazon right now. I used to dress up in a ninja suit and come out at night and climb these garages. And then throw shuriken stars into these garage doors, you know, as any young child does. Okay. Here we have Moko Bonk, where one day on a sunny Sunday afternoon, 2 drunks went walking towards the Moxley Arms, and as they passed me and my friend Jono lying on the hill listening to the classic 80s band Big Country, the one just muttered to the other, queers. And there we have Mick Biddle's house, who once I stumbled across some drunks coming from the Moxley Arms, and I was in my ninja suit, so I climbed over his gate and hid until they'd gone. That's when I literally decided to hang up the ninja suit. I thought, time to call it a day.
Yeah, I had a Captain Scarlet suit, which I used for similar purposes. Shall we take the bonk, you think?
Let's take
a ticket.
Let's take it.
Yeah, come on in. Yeah, took it, didn't I?
Took it. Big time.
Here, Dan, come here.
Yeah, what is it?
That city tour van.
Oh, yeah.
That's been nearly everywhere we've been.
Yeah,
There's been one of them.
Yeah, you're right. That's...
Could have just sat you in that, pointed the camera at you, listened to the audio, and had you pointed to a few things,
Okay.
and we'd have been done in about an hour.
Yeah, I suppose we've been making this whole thing unnecessarily difficult for ourselves, haven't we?
We have really. We'd have got more hits as well, to be honest.
Yeah, we would. You're right.
Yeah, you know, it's the same thing over and over again. You know, neoplasticists and 3-minute monologues and artists you've never heard of, and you know, you got no way of checking, have you? Whether I don't know. You know.
Oh,
all right.
Are you ready for
all
that?
Right,
I've just had an idea for another monologue. I was just gonna, just
brilliant.
talk about Fernand
I'll be
Léger
right with you.
and Stanley Spencer. All right,
Super.
all right then, mate.
Right on.
Yeah, I have. I've tried to push him in a certain direction, but it's just the same thing. It's just, you know, he's got very, very fixed ideas about what make a film. It's, you know, series of signs and sort of fragments of buildings, tops of buildings that he's going to obviously put in some kind of montage with that piece of music going over the top. And there's been all, there's been duck shots. There was even a fish eating bread this morning. I don't know if that's going to make it into the final cut, but there's nothing. Oh, hello, you're right, Lee.
I just wondered if you wanted to come and shoot a few things down here. There's Nice building tops and
Oh right, oh yeah.
yeah. Back down the river.
Okay, yeah.
A few seagulls and things maybe.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good. All right, mate. Okay.
Sound right. See you in a minute.
See you later.
Propriety, of course, forbids me filming inside for public convenience, but if you're ever round these parts, those are the most beautifully moulded Edwardian urinals that I've seen since the Philharmonic in Liverpool. Where's Martin gone?
I think he's still in there. He's admiring the urinals.
Fair play to him. You see the urinals in there?
Yeah, amazing.
I was just saying to Harris that they were the best ones I've seen since the ones in the Philharmonic in Liverpool, but I'm wrong actually. They're the best ones I've seen since the ones in the video for Outside by George Michael. There he is again, Mr. Michael, drifting through the pages of my mind.
Guilty feet, I've got no rhythm. Though it's easy to pretend. No, you're not a fool.
Should've known better than to cheat a friend, waste a chance that I've been given. So I'm never gonna dance again the way I dance with you.
Classic, absolutely classic.
You're not wrong.
So that won the regional award for Loo of the Year, 1990.
I can see why.
And the man that signed the certificate for regional award for Loo of the Year, 1990, was Lee Cummings.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think he's that Dan Cummings Lee Harris man that we saw in Wellington?
The strange visual conglomerate of the two of us.
Yeah.
It probably is, isn't it? Scarily.
He was kind of, if you remember, he was bald and had an ill-fitting suit and didn't look as good as he thought he did.
Yeah, that's
a
the
little
man.
out of place, yes. I think it must be him, actually. But yeah, it's right and proper, I think, that you can't film inside toilets. But for the second time this year, it's a shame because, as you've seen, inside there it's all Edwardian opulence, green and cream tiling, copper piping, original cisterns, spectacular sink detail. And I think the last time we saw a toilet that was that opulent was in Chester, wasn't it, where it prompted me and Martin to sing a beautiful version of Careless Whisper by George Michael.
Yes.
Perhaps we ought to start some kind of little mini tradition whereby we come across a particularly spectacular toilet, we sing a Wham song. I don't know. What do you reckon?
I think you've already sung once today.
Yeah, fair point. It's a shame I was going to do that whole rap bit, the sort of drop down rap bit from Wham Rap, but another time. Okay, the reminiscent package unfolds. The library where my mother used to work, and just back there, the delightful MEB spacecraft, and opposite it, the Cross pub in Kingswinford, where I used to spend my Friday nights in 1984, dressed in a bullfighter's hat, full makeup, silver eyeshadow, sort of sub-roxy music, Hanoi Rocks, wasted youth sort of thing, and a scene of my brother's greatest shame when him and my father came to pick me up, crossed wires or something, and I'd already got on the 256 and they saw me illuminated on the top deck, dressed thus.
1984, you say?
Yeah.
Because I swear I saw you less than a fortnight ago in exactly the same costume just down there.
What?
Less than a fortnight ago.
There are other blokes that still dress like that, I'm sure.